You don't cling to certainty because you're arrogant. You cling to it because it feels like safety. Certainty is the warm room you crawl into when the world storms outside. It promises you won't be embarrassed, won't be excluded, won't be wrong in front of people whose opinions matter to you. But here is the quiet cost you rarely calculate. Every time you choose certainty over curiosity, your world becomes smaller. Not calmer, smaller. Fewer possibilities, fewer angles, fewer ways to become the person you suspect you could be. Listen closely. I'm not here to insult your intelligence. You are likely careful, informed, and trying to be good. That's exactly why this message matters. The most dangerous form of stupidity is not loud or reckless. It's the tidy, well-reasoned kind. The kind that feels like wisdom because it is tidy. The kind that chooses closure over truth. A century ago, a young patent clerk asked a strange question. What would the world look like if I rode on a beam of light? That question broke the floorboards of physics. It suggested that what you measure depends on where you stand, your frame of reference. Two events that look simultaneous from one vantage point do not look simultaneous from another. That's not a trick. That's reality. Your mind works the same way. You have frames of reference, your upbringing, your incentives, your fears, the role you think you must play. When you lock one frame and call it truth, the rest of reality distorts to fit. Evidence that doesn't match gets trimmed down like a branch that leans outside the fence. You call it being decisive. Often, it's just gravity, psychological gravity, pulling your judgments toward the nearest certainty. Thought experiment. You're on a moving train, staring out the window. Lightning strikes the front and back of the train. To you, the flashes arrive at different times. On the platform, a watcher swears they arrive together. Both stories are honest. Both stories conflict. What changes the story is motion. Now replace the train with your identity in motion. The flash is a claim you encounter. From your momentum, your habits, your group loyalties, your recent victories or wounds. The claim lands at a certain time and with a certain weight. Another person with different momentum sees something else. You call them biased. They call you blind. The truth is more humbling. You are both folding reality through different frames. Psychology has names for these folds. Confirmation bias. You search for and prefer information that supports your current belief. Need for closure. You rush to seal a story because open questions feel like a threat. The illusion of explanatory depth. You think you understand something until you try to explain it without slogans. Overconfidence effect. The less you truly know, the more certain you feel. These aren't insults, they're settings. Default factory settings, optimized for survival, not for accuracy. Evolution made your nervous system a prediction machine. It reduces surprise to keep you alive. Certainty is efficient because uncertainty is metabolically expensive. But efficiency has a price. When your model of the world is wrong, certainty stops you from noticing. You become fast, smooth, and misaligned. Here's the uncomfortable twist. Certainty is often an identity strategy disguised as a thinking strategy. You don't need the truth as much as you need the feeling of being the kind of person who is right. The role you play, leader, protector, rebel, purist, peacemaker, comes with a script. The script quietly edits reality to keep you in costume. You become loyal to your role, not to reality. History is full of this loyalty. For years, experts defended invisible ether as the medium of light because the alternative made their maps implode. For centuries, a heavy object was said to fall faster than a light one because that matched intuition and authority. Over and over, we protect our frameworks by punishing the anomalies that could set us free. So try another thought experiment, the Einstein Switch. Imagine there is a small switch behind your ribcage labeled, from opinion to hypothesis. When you flip it, nothing about the facts changes. What changes is your posture. An opinion seeks confirmation. A hypothesis seeks tests that could prove it wrong. The behavior looks subtle on the outside. Inside, it is a revolution. Speak your belief as a bet, not a verdict. I'm 65% confident this is true, leaves 35% oxygen in the room. It tells your brain to keep listening for the faint sound of the other explanation. It tells your colleagues, your relationships, your future self, help me see. The switch converts the need to be right into the desire to learn. There is a reason the calmest thinkers carry paradoxes in their pockets. The same person can be courageous and afraid. A decision can be both necessary and painful. A dataset can be clear enough to act on and messy enough to make you humble. Living with these tensions is not indecision, it is precision. The world is not a courtroom. It is a forest, alive and moving. But modern life trains you for the courtroom. Your feeds reward speed, certainty, and outrage. They make thought feel like sport, teams, jerseys, enemies. Outrage gives you a high. Certainty gives you armor. Together they make you fast and less intelligent. You no longer update. You escalate. You no longer learn. You perform. And performance, done long enough, calcifies into personality, then into fate. Let's bring this down to the personal level where it hurts. You have ending lines you keep rehearsing. That's just how it is. People like that never change. This always happens to me. Recited often enough, these aren't observations, they're enchantments. You cast them on the world so your predictions come true. The prophecy becomes a policy. The policy becomes a prison. Ask the harder question, what does my certainty protect me from having to feel? If your belief keeps you safe from grief, you'll defend it with your life, even if it keeps you from living. If your position keeps you safe from shame, you'll cling to it while it quietly shrinks your future. Certainty anesthetizes, but numbness is not wisdom. It is just pain on mute. A brief method you can practice in private: pause. Name the emotion before you name the conclusion. This threatens my status. This contradicts a story I tell about myself. This reminds me of a wound. When the feeling has a label, it stops driving the bus. Now rate your confidence on a scale from 0 to 100. Not right or wrong, but a sliding value. Finally, ask, what evidence, specifically, would lower this number by 20 points? If you can name nothing, your issue isn't knowledge, it's attachment. This is not intellectual gimmickry. It is moral courage. To allow your beliefs to be testable is to risk the loss of identity. That is why most people never do it. They will update techniques, not frames. They will rearrange furniture, never inspect the foundation. They will talk about critical thinking as if it were a set of moves. It is, more deeply, a willingness to be remade. There's another lesson from relativity worth carrying into your day. Time dilates. On a fast-moving ship, a clock ticks differently than on the shore. In your mind, something similar happens. Under emotional acceleration, threat, pride, humiliation, your sense of time tightens. You feel forced to judge now. The fast clock makes certainty feel urgent. Step off that ship. Let time stretch. Give your judgment an extra hour, an extra conversation, an extra night of sleep. The answer you deliver tomorrow is often wiser than the verdict you shout today. You might worry that this posture makes you weak. It does the opposite. The person who can say, "I don't know yet," is not fragile, they are free. They can update without collapsing. They can absorb new information without having to twist it into old shapes. They can cooperate with reality, which is a much better ally than ego. Remember the old philosopher who insisted that the beginning of wisdom is knowing you don't know. It wasn't a performance of humility, it was a technique. There is power in lowering the center of gravity of your mind. When it's low, you don't tip as easily. You can hold tension without toppling into your favorite conclusion. You can be fierce without being brittle. Let's end with one final image. Certainty is a small, locked room. Tidy, quiet, familiar. You have memorized every scuff on the floor. Outside is a corridor with unlit doors. Each door is labeled with questions that make your stomach flutter. Some lead to bigger rooms. Some open into dead ends. A few loop back to the room you started in, revealing secrets you missed. None of them can be explored while you hold the lock in your fist and call it truth. Set the lock down. Not forever, not recklessly, just for long enough to walk the corridor with a light in your hand. Long enough to ask, what would I see if I were wrong? Long enough to say, here is my current best map. Show me where it breaks. long enough to flip the Einstein switch and feel the air change inside your chest. Because the opposite of certainty is not chaos. The opposite of certainty is wonder disciplined by method. It is curiosity with a spine. It is the courage to treat your beliefs as traveler's clothes, good for the weather you're in, ready to be changed when the climate shifts. If you can live like that, your intelligence will stop being a performance and become a practice. Your judgments will stop being walls and become windows. And one ordinary morning, you will catch yourself doing something rare, changing your mind in public without losing your dignity. In that moment, you will not feel stupid. You will feel large. Not calmer, larger. The world will expand to meet you. Walk the corridor. Flip the switch. Let your maps breathe. And when the room of certainty calls you back, as it always will, smile at it the way a traveler smiles at a childhood home, grateful, affectionate, and already turning toward the next horizon.